And ladies and gentlemen, as you know, Donald Trump held court yesterday in Washington, D.C.
Did he ever, man? This was
Vintage. Yeah, this is vintage stuff.
This is what we were actually kind of hoping for, I think, in our most deluded moments, this type of outburst.
The interesting thing about this is that they clearly now have a playbook. The White House does, which is we put on a show, we let Donald Trump appear to be reasonable, then we know that a lot of people don't pay attention after that, and then nothing will happen. So this is the first part of that kabuki theater. This is where Donald Trump. Let's go to the afraid of the NRA, because this is where Donald Trump pretends that he wants legislation. Now, understand, he is aware that he comes off with the American public as being a horrible individual. There was just a poll that came out today where the vast majority of Americans think he's racist. He has sort of all-time record, the best ever, disapproval ratings for a first-term president. So he will preen, he will throw other politicians under the bus, and then when it comes time for the actual legislation, we will see none of this. And
wow, you really scripted that well.
That's good.
Well done, Grasshopper.
Who are you? Hope Hicks. All right, so here is Donald Trump asking about what are you doing about the 18 to 21? 18 to 21, two numbers.
What are you doing about the 18 to 21?
We don't change that.
Okay, are you going to leave that?
That's whatever you
You
want
have
to
a
do.
case right now where somebody can buy a handgun.
Pause it.
at
I should
21.
tell you, that's Joe Manchin. Whatever you want to do. Whatever you want to do. Like, he realizes, like, oh, wait a second. You got to say this. I don't want to say this. I'm from West Virginia, man. Like, I shot up. Like, I had an ad where I shot up cap and trade with a semi-automatic weapon. So if you want to address this, you can address this.
That's whatever you
You
want
have
to
a
do.
case right now where somebody can buy a handgun at 21.
Right.
Now, this is not a popular thing to say in terms of the NRA, but I'm saying it anyway. I'm going to just have to say it. But you can't
I'm literally
buy,
just going to
think
say
of it. You can
That's
buy
it. I'm just going to
a
say
handgun. You can't buy one. And you have to wait till you're 21. But you can buy the kind of weapon used in the school shooting at 18. I think it's something you have to think about.
We just signed that.
So I'll tell you what, I'm going to give it a lot of consideration, and I'm the one bringing it up, and a lot of people don't even want to bring it up because they're afraid to bring it up. But you can't buy a handgun at 18, 19, or 20. You have to wait till you're 21, but you can buy the gun, the weapon used in this horrible shooting at 18. You are going to decide. The people in this room pretty much are going to decide.
So reality show.
But I would give very serious thought to it. I can say that the NRA is opposed to it. And I'm a fan of the NRA. I mean, there's no bigger fan. I'm a big fan of the NRA. They want to do it. These are great people. These are great patriots. They love our country. But that doesn't mean we have to agree on everything. It doesn't make sense that I have to wait till I'm 21 to get a handgun, but I can get this weapon at 18. I don't know. So I was just curious as to what you did in your bill. You don't address
We didn't address it as president. Look, I think
You know why? Because you're afraid of the NRA, right?
No, the NRA 5 years ago.
Yeah.
They never came up.
It's a big issue right now, and a lot of people are talking about it.
A lot of people talking about it. A lot of people are talking about it.
I love that. A lot of people are talking
Who was
about
that? Who's that senator that he was saying?
Pat Toomey.
Oh, it's Pat Toomey. Yeah. Well, the NRA. I mean, Pat Toomey really looked like he didn't want to have to answer that question about being afraid of the NRA. No, I'm not afraid of the NRA. I'm in bed with them. I love them.
I'm not afraid of my lover.
There it is. And let me give you a sense of what will happen regarding the idea of raising the age in which you are allowed to purchase a semi-automatic weapon with these Republicans. And frankly, a guy like Joe Manchin. Nothing. And let me give you a sense of what Donald Trump will say behind closed doors about that. Nothing.
I I've been so nice to Maggie Haberman, and it's unfair.
It's unfair.
That was my inside reporting on what Donald Trump said about the failure to pass gun legislation.
It almost just works to cover like Walmart and Dick's.
Now, look,
Yeah.
I don't want people to interpret that as being defeatist. People should continue to push for at the very least this. But my point is that the stories of Donald Trump being a reasonable human being, by any stretch of the imagination, are not just premature, because premature implies that there will be a time when they become mature. They are deluded. We've seen this. Remember, I just want a bill of love. I want a bill of love. I want to help the kids. I want a bill of love. That was his response to the Dreamers like 4 months ago or something. So nobody get too excited. However, with all that said about his Donald Trump's apparent desire to encourage lawmakers to raise the age of purchase for semi-automatic weapons to 21 like they are for handguns. Like I said just a moment ago, that is deluded to think that's what he really cares about. However, Donald Trump also showed that he's a complete moron in this same meeting, where he basically says, he could have prefaced his comments by saying, let me show you that I don't understand what due process means. Here, let's just do a scenario, okay? I'm going to use due process incorrectly in a sentence.
You ready for this, Mike? Because there's a lot going on here.
Look, Mike, watch me. I don't want you to laugh. Go.
Check this out.
He's talking to Mike Pence.
In your meeting with governors earlier this week, individually and as a group, we spoke about states taking steps, but the focus is to literally give families and give local law enforcement additional tools if an individual is reported to be a potential danger to themselves or others. Allow due process so that no one's rights are trampled, but the ability to go to court, obtain an order, and then collect not only the firearms, but any weapons in the possession
Or
of that
might
individual.
take the firearms first and then go to court, because that's another system, because a lot of times by the time you go to court, it takes so long to go to court to get the due process procedures. I like taking the guns early, like in this crazy man's case that just took place in Florida. He had a lot of firearms. They saw everything. To go to court would have taken a long time. So you could do exactly what you're saying, but take the guns first, go through due process second.
We think about the tragedy in Sandy Hook and
That's right.
Adam Lanza's mother. Who
Pause it for a second. I mean, we need to really actually comment on Mike Pence's ability at this point to just stare there, nod as if he's and then I'm going to try and make everyone forget what the president just said by talking about another horrible tragedy.
He is right, though. It is a different system.
It is a different system where the due process happens afterwards. Like, we're going to do a fair trial by a jury of your peers just following the carrying out of the death sentence. Right after the execution, we will definitely put you on trial. And I mean, you can see the looks on just at least Mike Pence, and I think that's Klobuchar there, right? And Scalise. And they're all just the skill set that's now involved in sitting across the table from the president of the United States is like, you see Klobuchar's like really like she's trying not to laugh out loud at the president, saying we take him, then we do the due process. That's better. That's another system.
No, I'm agreeing with you.
I'm totally. Let's just play that again. Just go back just a little bit, because that's just too precious. And you can see like oh my God, everybody in there just saying like, I've had conversations with elementary school kids who are more knowledgeable about what they're saying than this guy.
An order and then collect not only the firearms but any weapons in the possession
Or
of that
might
individual.
take the firearms first and then go to court, because that's another system, because a lot of times by the time you go to court, it takes so long to go to court to get the due process procedures. I like taking the guns early, like in this crazy man's case that just took place in Florida. He had a lot of firearms. They saw everything. To go to court would have taken a long time. So you could do exactly what you're saying, but take the guns first, go through due process second.
We just
There
think
she is,
about
almost losing it. Pence, however, he just maintains that sort of sad puppy dog, like it's going to be, God will save us all.
I think
Do you remember in the movie where he was like, leave the guns, take the cannoli? I say, take the guns, too. You see what I'm saying, Mike?
I think to test vice president candidates, they just had all of them like line up and watch Trump footage and see which one can like react the least when he says something.
All right,
the other
let's
guys are just
continue
like, I
on here.
can't do it.
Where do they go after this? Is that
we
it?
think about the
Oh, okay. There you go. So there it is. Donald Trump exhibiting for all to see. He does not understand what the words due process mean, or at what point in the process due process needs to take place.
And it's about guns, of all things. If this
Right.
doesn't piss off his supporters, probably nothing will.
Nothing will. Nothing will. I mean, this is the nature of an authoritarian following. He knows it. They know it. He doesn't know that he's saying anything that would offend them in any way.
It's like sitting at the Scientology compound and being like, oh, yeah, they're really going to get pissed off at this new announcement.
Right.
Totally not going to sit well with the base.
Don't like the way they're spending their capital investments
Yeah,
on all
exactly.
these buildings. We really should be building.
Ridiculous. I want upgrades of the Sea Org. I promised that literally eons ago.
Calling